You open your phone for 2 minutes, scroll past a few success stories, and suddenly feel a subtle, heavy weight in your chest. You were fine a moment ago, but now your life feels strangely behind schedule. This experience isn't a personal flaw or a lack of gratitude. It is a deeply ingrained cognitive trap. We live in an era where our brains are exposed to more curated success in a single morning than our ancestors encountered in an entire lifetime. This constant comparison creates an ongoing state of cognitive dissonance, convincing us that we are failing even when we are growing. To understand why this happens, we have to look into evolutionary neuroscience. The human brain evolved under conditions where social hierarchy meant physical security. Social comparison theory explains our innate drive. Social comparison theory, first formulated by psychologist Leon Festinger, explains that humans have an innate drive to evaluate themselves relative to others. Inside your brain, regions like the ventromedial prefrontal cortex and the anterior cingulate cortex constantly process social status. When you perceive someone else as significantly ahead, your brain interprets this disparity as a potential threat to your standing. It responds by triggering a stress reaction, lowering dopamine availability, and raising cortisol. The modern challenge is social algorithms. They exploit this exact biological loop. They present highly compressed, polished highlights of millions of people. This causes your brain's evaluation system to run continuously without ever reaching resolution. The long-term impact is profound. Psychologists refer to one major consequence as focus theft. When your mental energy is consumed by benchmarking your progress, your capacity for deep focus, creative thought, and genuine self-reflection drops significantly. You make decisions based on fear. Over time, this leads to a state of chronic dissatisfaction known as the hedonic treadmill, where baseline happiness resets to zero. There is always a new reference point to envy. Understanding that comparison distorts reality is the key to breaking the cycle. Breaking free requires a deliberate shift. Here is a 3-step behavioral framework you can implement immediately. First, audit your references. Recognize that social media feeds are engineered highlights, not realistic standards. Curate your digital environment to reflect reality. Second, shift to internal metrics. Replace questions like, "How am I doing compared to others?" with, "Am I more competent than I was?" Third, practice counterframing. When you notice envy, acknowledge the invisible trade-offs that accompany any achievement. Ground your expectations. Your personal timeline is entirely your own, and measuring it against someone else's journey only distracts from your path. By understanding your brain, you gain the power to respond with clarity. Tap follow for more calm, science-backed lessons on growth.